But let me also just say excellencies, colleagues, partners, and distinguished guests. I highly appreciate you here today in the morning, and I'd like us to take a moment this morning to talk about the impact of digital violence. And when we talk about digital violence, not just bad words online or exposing people online, but we also want to have a really honest conversation of the impact it has when you get offline and what it does to you. So thank you for joining us as we commemorate the global 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and a campaign that unites the world each year from the 25th of November to the 10th of December. Calling for the prevention and elimination of all forms of violence against women and girls. This year focuses on technological facilitated gender-based violence and is especially important for South Sudan, where digital spaces increasingly shape public life, political dialogue, and civic education. While we might think that digital life might exist also just in urban areas like Juba, we also have to remember that it also impacts outside of digital spaces like Juba. It has an impact back into our communities. Globally, the scale of the problem is staggering. According to the IPU, more than 80% of women parliamentarians worldwide have faced psychological violence, including online harassment, threats, and sexist attacks. I used to work in Zimbabwe, and the head of the Electoral Commission was a woman. They will never talk about her merits. They always talked about her makeup and her clothes. And closer to the election, it got worse and worse. And the impact of such just means that the position of women in power or women in public spaces continues to be unabatedly excelled amongst us. Nearly half have received threats of rape or physical harm, mostly through the social media. Although we live in a digital age that brings extraordinary opportunities, and social media and online platforms have opened doors globally for women to lead, advocate, organize, and tell their stories in powerful ways. There are many that the internet has also become, and for many, the internet has become a new front line of violence. As South Sudan works towards achieving the 35% affirmative action commitment and prepares for future political and electoral processes, women in public life, including politicians, journalists, human rights defenders, and young activists, are facing new forms of violence online. Recent alerts from the South Sudan Human Rights Defenders Network pointed to a rise in digital abuse against women and girls, including online harassment, cyberbullying, hate speech, image-based abuse, and misinformation aimed at silencing women. Across the region, UN Women has highlighted the rise of digital violence as one of the fastest growing forms of abuse against women and girls. Online threats, stalking, defamation, and manipulated images are becoming more common, and these trends are increasingly reflected in South Sudan's digital landscape. The more advanced technology comes, the worse the situation actually does become. Women leaders in South Sudan have spoken to openly about facing online attacks that are gendered, ethnicized, and deeply personal. These attacks are designed to undermine credibility, intimidate, and deter participation in public life. They are not merely online actions, but extensions of the violence and discrimination and political intimidation women already face online, particularly during periods of political uncertainty. The recent temporary restriction of social media platforms by the National Communication Authority following the spread of inflammatory content demonstrates both the volatility of the digital environment and the role of misinformation in shaping public opinion. In such a context, Women in the public eye are especially vulnerable to digital manipulation, smear campaigns, and coordinated online hostilities. When women are threatened or defamed online, the message sent is that they do not belong in public life. This undermines their participation and weakens national commitments to gender equality, democratic inclusion, and long-term peace building. As South Sudan advances the second generation National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security, and I hope that we all push hard that it does come into place soon. It is essential to recognize digital safety as a core element of women's participation in governance, peace processes, and public leadership. Addressing technological facilitated violence requires stronger legal policy frameworks, investment in digital literacy and online safety, increased protection for women in public roles, accountability for perpetrators, and support services for survivors, including psychosocial and legal assistance. As we commemorate this year's 16 Days of Activism, let us reaffirm a simple principle. Every woman and girl in South Sudan have the right to participate, both online and offline, without fear, intimidation, or violence. I wish to close by expressing my appreciation to the government of South Sudan, to all of you here in the room, to the UN family that's represented here, the government of Norway, civil society, and especially women-led and youth-led groups, and the media, for your commitment and continued commitment to fighting violence against women and girls. Your partnership is essential as we work today towards a South Sudan where women's voices are protected, valued, and heard within a peaceful society altogether. So thank you, and I hope we have good deliberations.